So today I'm going to use a technique that I learned by watching just multiple YouTube videos, and this is the one that happens to work best for me, so I wanted to share it. I am using Tombow markers and a penny black stamp, and the first thing I'm going to do is color the image with my markers. And I'm going to make the flowers blue. I know it's not a typical color for a poppy, but that's what I'm doing. This image is penny black. I never can find the names of these things. It's penny black poppies. I don't know. So anyway, that's the image. And you don't have to be really neat about it. Just want to get some color on the outline. This works with images that are the outline as well as stamps that are solid, I guess silhouette stamps. I am not coloring the inside. I'm going to use a brown marker for that. So I'm trying to keep the blue just on the petals, and if you don't, it's not that big a deal. It's going to have a very loose watercolor look when it's done. Not very loose, but a loose watercolor look. A little bit of overlap in your colors is not going to be an issue. And the fact that your stamp may have dried, or the ink that you put on your stamp may have dried, that's okay too, because I'm going to mist the stamp with water before I actually stamp the image. And I'm using my Misty. I haven't used my Misty for this in the past, all the 3 times that I've done it. I haven't done this a lot. I've done it enough to know that I really like the way that it looks, and it's not an overly time-consuming process. It's time-consuming only in that you can do one every other petal and you need to let it dry. You can hit it with a heat tool if you're impatient, but for your best results you don't want to do overlapping petals when they're wet, and I'll show you why that is. Inevitably, I will miss a part of this. Again, not being really tedious about this. I'm just trying to make sure that I get color from my marker on all the parts of the images that I'm trying to get it on. And I think I've gotten everything. Like I said, I'm sure I'll miss something, but that's okay. And for the green, I used a Tombow 177. For the brown, Tombow 969. And I showed you the blue first. Okay, so now I'm going to hit it with some water. Not a lot of water. Very, 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 very little bit of water, because I don't want a bunch of bleeding. So, like, that's it. Just enough to activate what I've done. And then I'm going to stamp the image on watercolor cardstock. I use Canson cold press cardstock, and then I'm going to press here and there and everywhere. I cause my camera to shake, but I want to try and make sure that all of the image is stamped because I do use the outline. Okay. It's not perfectly stamped, which is the beauty of the Misty. I'm missing some of my green up here. Very light. I may have even overdone it. And I'm going to press down on the part where I believe I missed, which is actually over here. Okay, much better. And there we have the image. There's a little bit of green. Actually, I want to get some of it up here. And some of that. I keep missing that up there for some reason. I'm not going to mist it this time. Just going to press in the spot where I think. Okay. I'm happy with it now. Alrighty, so I'm going to wipe this off. And I'll get right back for us to color. Alright, so I've got my image, and I have a paper towel, I have a brush, and I have water. On the left is going to be my dirty water, and on the right is going to be my clean water. So I'm going to wet my brush, and then get the excess water off of it. So I just have a little bit of water. And all I'm going to do is add some water to the center of the petal that I'm coloring, and then touch the edge of the petal where the blue line is. And then I'm going to tap, 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 and just get the edge, the line of the petal that has the ink on it wet. And then I'm going to add water to the white space so that the edge that has the ink will bleed into the place where I've gotten the petal wet. Because I heard one time, and I don't remember who said it, that in watercolor, the color only goes where the water is. But I don't want to use too much water because I don't want these lines that are nice and crisp right now to bleed. And that's also why I'm not going to work on either of the petals that are adjacent to this petal, because then I may cause these lines to become less pronounced. So now I'm just going to do the same thing on this petal over here. So I'm going to just tap, tap, tap the edge, put water only where I want the color to go. So I don't want the color to bleed into the other petal. I'm just putting water down right in that petal. And this is what I'm going to keep doing until I've done all the petals. So here I'm going to go on the outside of this petal. I'm just touching the outer edge of the line that has the ink on it, kind of almost outlining the petal in water, and then I'm going to make sure that the entire petal inside that petal is wet. And then the ink and the water do the rest of the work for me. Let's see. So now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to turn this because I don't want to drag my wrist or my hand through the work that I've already done and smear it. So tap, 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 and get the petal wet. So you want to use some water, but you don't want to use a lot of water. It's a very fine line. And here I'm going to avoid the brown, just because I don't really want any of the brown in my petal. Alright, so now I'm going to speed this up because, like I said, I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Well, here's my finished card. It is going to be a birthday card for my mother. And what I did is I used a blueprint sketch from My Favorite Things. This is blueprint number 20. I used the scallop edge to cut out a blue mat around, well, to cut out a blue mat. And then I used this stitched rectangle inside to cut out my image. I lost some of my poppies, but that's to be expected. It's a large stamp set. So that is my card. I think it's really easy watercoloring. It just takes patience because you can't do every petal right away. And so if you have patience and you let the water and the ink do your work for you, I think it turns out really nicely. I hope you have a great day and see you again next time.